move right on then. Capri Global in the spotlight on the back of earnings. Rajesh Sharma is the MD and CEO who's waiting by. Good to have you on board. Let's begin by talking about your net interest margins at a 5-quarter high. Now, while your spreads have improved and your margins have been aided by the equity funding, question is, going forward, is this sustainable?
Yes, so if we look this net interest margin increasing on account of the new product of the gold loan. Now gold loan AUM is growing, and we already have about 700 plus branches in the gold loan. So the more mix of the gold loan overall AUM increases, the net interest income as well as net interest margin will keep improving.
Now that interest rates, Rajesh ji, have pretty much peaked out, your asset liability mismatch, your cost of borrowing changes. So what happens to a model of NBFC and a Capri model when from a rising interest rate environment we move towards a benign or a stable interest rate environment?
So interest rate hike has an impact on cost of fund, and what essentially happens that we are not able to pass on the entire cost. So they are having some pressure on the margin of all NBFC and housing finance company. Once the interest rate stabilizes, the new lending what we are doing, that interest rate will be passed on. Then the past portfolio you are not able to pass on because 50-60% portfolio of NBFC remain the semi-fixed region. So if the interest rate remain flat, I think there will be two impact. One, the new incremental lending will continue to happen at the maintaining the same spread. And number two, the cost of fund will stabilize. So that will also impact that our margins will be stable.
Okay. So let's say your AUM growth is 60%. I'm assuming that this would include the gold loan also. But if you have to strip out the gold loan and look at the traditional business, what is the AUM growth? And can you also separate gold versus traditional business for us?
If we exclude the gold loan growth, then our MSME, home loan, other businesses, the quarter one would have been 38% higher. So growth would have been 38%. In past, we have given the guidance of 30%. So in any case, it is higher than that, even excluding the gold loan. And if we talk about the gold loan, the March, it was 1100 crore. Now it is about 1500 crore. And the year end, we should close about 3000 crore in the gold loan AUM alone. Overall, AUM, we are achieving, trying to reach a base of about 15,000 crore by the March end, giving about 40% plus AUM growth.
He has approved issue of equity shares on preferential allotment basis to Suzuki Motor. This is new. I don't think this has been part of any kind of buzz or any announcement. This is not historical. This looks like it's a new announcement which has come in. We'll try and get more details at what price. The fact that Suzuki is looking at increasing their stake in Maruti and it's a preferential allotment which has happened.
So Nikunj, I think this is with respect to that plant that they're taking over in Gujarat. Remember, they announced it with the earnings that they're taking over that entire plant from Suzuki. So as a consideration of that, they're doing a share swap on a preferential basis. So the valuation wasn't out yet. The consideration wasn't known at what value they're going to take it. We still don't know that because they haven't disclosed the price as far as the release goes. They have given some data in terms of what the actual swap is in terms of basis of PAT, EPS, but it's a very complicated number to be honest. What we know so far is that they're going to do it in terms of a share swap. It's not going to happen on a basis of cash consideration, but the exact swap ratio and which side does it really favor, we'll have to wait and get more details. So that's the latest coming in on Maruti Suzuki. This is the consideration that they are paying on account of that plant that they're taking over in Gujarat. But let me come back to the conversation that we are having with the management of Capri Global. Just wanted to get a sense from you that Q1 was on the weaker side, at least when it comes to disbursements, because that's a seasonally weak quarter. Going forward, what's the run rate you're expecting in the next coming quarters and any internal AUM target that you have in mind?
And overall, AUM growth will be happening 40% plus, and I think we are aiming to achieve a AUM by the March about 15,000 crore. And internally, as you said, Q1 is always the lowest. I think Q2, Q3, 4, and Q4 is the last one higher. So I think gradually we will see that our AUM growth will be happening. So this quarter, coming quarter, I think we will be targeting again on quarter sequentially about 12% AUM growth.
Do you see this kind of a trend for Capri Global able to continue for 2 or 3 years irrespective of this whole element of state elections and then general elections next year?
So if we believe that democratically the election is one of the very big event and big festival in one way, and a lot of spending happens in the rural and side, and we have seen historical that whenever the year the Lok Sabha election happens, the credit demand goes up, even collection efficiency we've seen it is dramatically improves. So I think that year itself, it is in some way percolate a lot of orders, a lot of new business, a lot of demand from the MSME side. We clearly see that the election year is not is a good year for MSME and housing segment as well. So election will not have any impact, negative. It will have a positive impact. It's such. And if you look for our growth side, even with the higher base, we intend to add another branches. Now about 849 branches are operational. We'll add another 200 branches in the coming year. With the backdrop of the growth demand and our branch expansion, we see that in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll continue to have 30% plus growth in AUM easily achieved. We have already provided the equity by raising the rights issue about 1440 crore rupees. So we currently are about 40% capital adequacy. And we are able to access the liability side easily from our banks. So overall, everything is in place. So I think we want to be part of this India growth story where we are keeping a target of 5 trillion economy. I think in that itself will release a lot of demand for MSME and for the housing growth.
Okay, sir, on that note, we let you go. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with TT now. Quickly.